The French government will consider bringing back a tax on high earners which President Emmanuel Macron abolished early in his presidency, a key demand of «yellow vest» protesters who have been blocking roads and fuel depots for weeks, government spokesman Benjamin Griveaux said Wednesday.
Here's a summary of the article.
The French government will consider bringing back a tax on high earners which President Emmanuel Macron abolished early in his presidency, a key demand of «yellow vest» protesters who have been blocking roads and fuel depots for weeks, government spokesman Benjamin Griveaux said Wednesday. Ending the ISF wealth tax on high earners was a key part of Macron's pro-business presidential campaign, seen as a way of encouraging people to invest and hire in France. Critics accused him of favoring the rich while his government raised taxes on pensioners and others. The «Yellow Vest» movement, which originally erupted over anger at fuel tax increases, has ballooned into a wider protest over rising costs of living and a perceived disregard by Macron for the problems facing rural and small-town France. Restoring the wealth tax became one of the protesters' key demands, along with the end of fuel tax increases and a higher minimum wage. He added that the government would also permanently end the fuel tax hikes planned for January, which were suspended this week as the government called for talks with protesters, if no agreement were reached. "We're going to look for solutions together. If at the end of these discussions no good solutions have been found, we will accept the consequences," Griveaux said.
This post received a score of 7,098, with an upvote ratio of 96%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
What is the cutoff for high earners, like how many euros per year?
It's based on net worth, not income. It was a 1.5% tax on assets above €1.3 million. Macron cut it to 0.5% last year.
So Macron is basically a corporatist Democrat type who only cares about the rich? Aren't there any progressive leaders in the world who care about the people and not just the rich?
Not true. A French journal, Le Monde, made an analysis of his tax policy per revenue bracket, and beyond the ultra-rich that never pay anything, the victims are poor rural people with smoking habit but non-smoking urban go fine, rich people but not rich enough to evade, retired people with the highest income. Graphs are easy enough to understand.
That is an oversimplification, IMHO. First, Le Monde, actually the Public Policy Institute, a think tank of which they just report the conclusions, use available income to create the revenue brackets. It's a choice that is debatable. Second, the report only analyzes the impact of tax reforms. It doesn't dwell on the disappearance of public services, which also plays a part in the current riots.
They will consider, and once situation has calmed down, they will forget that tax ever existed.
I dunno, man. If I were him I wouldn't want to fuck around with French protesters. They tend to not be very nice.
He hopes it will blow over without having to make any concessions that cost more than a couple millions. He probably keeps the retarded speed reduction law in his pocket to throw a bone at the people in the countryside since it doesn't cost anything to reverse. Consider being the key word here.
They consider everything and do nothing.
Also, ban tax evasion, trough offshore, tax paradises, etc. I bet you don't have the balls to do it. It's easier to fuck the ass of the poor.
Tax evasion is, by definition, already illegal. Tax avoidance is what you're thinking of. The problem is that you can't get away from tax avoidance unless everyone does it. The thing about the uber wealthy is that they can afford to move themselves, and their money, around. So what happens if you try to tax the ultra-wealthy is that they just up and move, taking all their money with them, leaving just the regular wealthy, good, tax-paying doctors, lawyers, accountants etc. getting shafted.
It would definitely need to have all first world countries on the same page, so then the uber wealthy have only second or third world countries to move to and they aren't as free and secure as where they move from. That's the main problem, because the countries would never be on the same page like that.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.